Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Betholkis, and it's time for Invincible Season 3, Episodes 1 through 4. A lot of episodes, obviously, on that one. That was on my bad on that part. So those are episodes. Episode 1, You're Not Laughing Now. Episode 2, A Deal with the Devil. Episode 3, You Want a Real Costume, Right? And episode 4, You Were My Hero. Welcome everybody. Let me take care of some business first, then we'll get down to some stuff. If you like what you see here, like, share, and like, share, and subscribe. That way, there we go. Also, if you're on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the videos at the very end here. They pop up here and over here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos. My vast video library, I have over 1,000 videos now, so it'll match up with something that you've been watching. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below. So, yeah. Oh, also, if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you can go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. And also check out all the links that I have to my social media pages, all that kind of stuff. You'll see that I'm pretty much everywhere here. So, wow. Sorry I'm a little bit late on this. It's just been a lot of stuff going on. I'm still trying to work out the kinks of, like where the microphone's going to be at and all that stuff. This setup is still not pleasing to me at the moment, so I'm still fluxing with it, if you can, I guess you could say, on that. I'm actually going to be getting a new microphone stand because I just don't like where the microphone is placed at. As you can see, I keep turning towards it and it's bothering me, quite honestly. So I'm going to end up getting another microphone stand, more of a gooseneck one I'll be able to move things a little bit easier than that, that way. Anyway, that aside, Morks was asking if I'll do a season 2 recap, kind of where we left off. Sure, I guess I can do a little bit of a recap of where we left off in season 2 with Invincible. Still in the shit, pretty much. Nolan has been captured by the Viltrumites, and for Viltrumite law, he is going to be healed until he is back to full strength, and then he's going to be executed. Alan the alien, on the other hand, has been enhanced by another Viltrumite who was posing as the global network, basically the good guys, if you will, that were against the Viltrumites. And he's super strong now. He's beefed up, and he allowed himself to be captured and thrown into the same prison as Nolan so he could get Nolan to basically fight against the Viltrumites. Mark, on the other hand, has been he's working with Cecil in the GDA, and the GDA, of course, Cecil does not trust him whatsoever. And the GDA is basically just making Mark stronger and stronger and stronger because, of course, they know that the Viltrumites have given Mark the ultimatum: take over your father's place, make Earth subjugated to the Viltrumites. Otherwise, we'll come by and wipe everyone out like we normally do with every other civilization that's out there. And on top of that, Mark and his mom are taking care of Nolan's other son, Oliver, who was born in another world that was destroyed by the Viltrumites. So, yeah, that's so the Viltrumites also have a rule against interbreeding of what they call inferior species, and that's why Nolan was beaten the fuck out of by all the other Viltrumites and taken. And also that world that he was protecting was destroyed. So that's kind of where we sit. Oh yeah, and then also at the end of season 2, Mark, we have Angstrom, who is a multiverse. He can travel the multiverse and really wants to kill Mark because Mark killed. It basically caused his mutation. Well, he really didn't cause his mutation. He himself caused his own mutation. But anyway, he wants to kill Mark and his family, and has been hunting Mark through all these different multiverses and killing him in all these different multiverses, and just hasn't caught up to the multiverse that we're viewing, or the universe that we're viewing. So at one point, Mark was actually dumped off in one of these barren multiverses, and an older Adam Eve, 20 years in the future, actually rescues him and tells him about her feelings for him. And, hey, if you have the same feelings, tell me, now rather than stringing me along, kind of thing. So there's that to contend with as well. So that's where we catch up here on season three. So season three, we have, with Mark, again, still training with the GDA here. Uh, and there's new enemies, there's old enemies, and he's also having to train his brother a little bit too. Well, his brother is now starting to show signs of having powers. And what do you do when you have a 8-year-old, 10-year-old, really, because he's accelerated growth because of his other half of his heritage, his not the Viltrumite half, but the other half. And he is really only like 3 years old, I think is what it is, but he is now like in human years, probably around like 10 or 11. So yeah. And he ends up getting his powers earlier than Mark did. And yeah, there's that whole problem to contend with as well. And then, of course, Mark's mom, you know, she needs to go out and start getting, Debbie needs to get on with her life as well. And so she starts going out dating again as well. And she's dating the guy that she had been working with in her real estate world there. And yeah, at one point she ends up dropping the bomb that, she basically just wants to tell him, she needs to tell somebody something, and she tells him the truth about Nolan, about Mark, all of that, much to Mark's dismay. But that comes about a little bit later in the second episode there. And on top of this, we've got Duplicate's brother, Paul, who blames Rexplode for Duplicate's death. And he has the same powers as Duplicate, comes in and tries to kill Rexplode. And she ends up revealing that she's still alive and engaged to the Immortal. And yeah, it's kind of this weird thing. This is all when the Constitution is being stolen by two guys from the future, which come into episode 4 as well. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. And in the middle of all this, we find out that Cecil has implanted Mark with a failsafe. Well, kind of a, I guess you could say it's not really a failsafe, but he is hedging his bet. He knew that the Atlantis mission that happened in season 2, where the creature that emitted the sonic blast could immobilize Mark. So when Mark was down and out for the count, one of the times he had a chip implanted in Mark's brain to emit that same sound, which basically just paralyzes Mark. And Mark was able to get to the Guardians of the Globe, who are now a ragtag band, Rexplode, Shrinking Violet, Shrinking Ray, and Monster and Monster Girl and Robot, those kind of people. And he makes it to them and says, "I got a chip in my head. Cecil's trying to kill me. Help me." And that's when, of course, Cecil shows up and says, "Just ignore everything you're seeing," kind of thing. And all hell breaks loose. And we find out that the Reanimen are back, and that Cecil is employing former criminals. And of course, Mark has a problem with this. And yeah, he pretty much divorces himself from the GDA at that point. And so do some of the other heroes from the Guardians of the Globe. And it's kind of a pivotal moment because we end up getting to see Cecil's past, where we see Cecil was a lot like Mark. Same thing where, his boss at the time did the exact same thing, started using some of the villains that they had brought in they rehabilitated the villains, brought them back to use them for good, I guess you could say. And yeah, people just we find out he was the same until an incident that happens, and now we know why he is like he is. And yeah, it's more out of fear than anything else. That is the reason why what Cecil's actions are. Cecil's actions are all out of fear rather than trusting Mark with what he needs to do. Um, in the middle of all this, of course, Mark and Adam Eve get together, and yeah, it's hey, Mark, how's it going? In the middle of all of this, of course, you know, he and Adam Eve, he gets back together with her. He wants to date her, and then of course he makes the mistake of telling her about what her future self did, and she's not on board with this. And so he has to convince her that it's not because of what her future self said that's the reason why he wants to date her, but because he actually has feelings for her. So there's that going on as well. Um, and then when they're on their second first date, the guys from the future who stole the Constitution come back again, grab Invincible, take him to their future Earth, where the Immortal is now the ruler of the Earth and insane. And basically, just he has death camps going on, and the world is not what it was, obviously. And we find out that Mark was the one that put in the Immortal in charge of the Earth, and then left with his family, and then never came back. And the Immortal was basically trying to make Earth so bad that Invincible would come back to right wrongs at that point. That's the reason why he was doing that. And it was because he had gone insane, essentially. He had enough of living and wanted to die. And so Mark has to kill him at one point. And yeah, it's how do you kill someone who's immortal? And of course, he basically takes his head off and then tells them to make sure his body pieces are not brought together because, of course, they're going to get back together again at that point. So, yeah, I mean, and in all of this as well, Invincible gets a new, he gets a new suit in all of this as well to kind of differentiate himself. And of course, his brother gets a suit as well. And speaking of his brother Oliver doesn't really have the same, he's not shying away from killing villains. So at one point, he kills the Mahler twins. And even though one is asking for mercy with a broken jaw, and he kills him anyway. The first one might have been a mistake, not really, but the second one was definitely intentional. And yeah, we're still seeing that Oliver is definitely his father's child at that point, and Mark has that to contend with as well. And we still haven't even touched on the Mars stuff that was going on because they don't touch on that as of yet, because Mars is all a shit show as well. In the meantime, Alan is on this Viltrumite prison ship with Nolan, trying to convince Nolan to uh, join up with him and fight back against the Viltrumites. And Nolan just wants to die at this point. He's like, "No, fuck it, I'm going to die," kind of thing. Just leave me alone. And he knows that Alan can get out at any time. And he goes, "Well, sooner or later, they're going to find something that's going to kill you. They're going to try and kill you." And we find out that Alan is actually really super strong. He is actually nothing can kill him at this point. And finally, he ends up, in episode 4, breaking through to Nolan. Nolan has been, he ends up being healed enough where 2 Viltrumites come in to kill him, do his death sentence. And we find out that basically all this is them beating him to death while he's shackled to the ground. And he's letting it happen. And then until, of course, Alan's like, "Fuck this, I'm breaking out," kind of thing. "I'm breaking you out too." And when the Viltrumites go after Alan, that is when Nolan says, "Fuck this," and breaks his shackles and joins in on the fight against the Viltrumites. So they end up And also Battle Beast. Battle Beast comes back as well. Michael Dorn voicing Battle Beast for that. We find out Battle Beast was part of the Viltrumite prisoners as well, and he's been looking for a fight that was worthy of him, and he ends up fighting one of the Viltrumites and killing one of them out of the two that are there. And um, Alan and Nolan kill the other Viltrumite by a double punch to both sides of the guy's head. It's pretty brutal. And that's when Nolan, Alan's like, "Hey, we need to get the fuck out of here before the other Viltrumites show up." And Nolan's like, "No one's coming." And Alan says, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "That's the greatest secret of the Viltrumite Empire is that there are fewer than 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left in the universe, in the Empire, and that is their biggest secret." Which is fairly shocking at that point. That's on, and he goes, basically, if they can get enough superpowered beings like, Alan and Nolan and Mark and Battle Beast together, they might have a chance of actually pulling this off. So that is where we leave off at the end of episode 4. Again, really good storytelling. Um, Everything's moving along fairly quickly. And um, yeah, it's they're hour-long episodes, which is great, and that way you're kind of getting, you know, you're getting a lot of story. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck and all of this. There's only 8 episodes per season, so of course, we're halfway through the season now at this point with, 4 episodes down. They started off with 3 episodes, they released them all at once. Now it's just 1 episode a week, which is great because then I can catch up on all of this. But, oh my god, this is really moving along fairly quickly here. So, good stuff. Definitely go and watch it if you haven't been watching it, and follow up with it. I know what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? I know I was going to do The Witcher, Sirens of the Deep right after this at 6 o'clock. I think I'm actually going to cancel that, quite honestly, uh, just because, yeah, it's not worth your time. I'm just going to tell you that right out right now. I really just don't feel like covering it. It's not. It took me 2 tries to get through it all, and yeah, it's just I'm now regretting my decision to actually cover that one. So I'm gonna axe that one from the list. But what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? I am going to be covering Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Thursday. I know the last 2 episodes I think are going to drop on Disney Plus here because they've been releasing 3 episodes at a time, and episodes 7 and 8 are, excuse me, 8 was already dropped, so it's gonna be 9 and 10. Episodes 9 and 10 are gonna be dropped, I think, on Wednesday, and then when that happens, well, it's usually Wednesday night, so I cover it on Thursday, and then for Invincible, I'm probably gonna do that on Saturday for episode 5 of Invincible. I'll do that on Saturday is what I think I'm gonna do. Um, Again, go over to suspendedfanimation.com, take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. And again, if you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. It's someplace around down here. And if you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the videos pop up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithm of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up there for you to take a look at. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. Well, I'm going to let myself go here because Marcus has already left the building. I think he was the only viewer that I had there. Thank you to everybody out there who's watches. You know who you are out there. And I will see you again next time for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may have to bust out of a Viltrumite, prison ship and take along some people with you, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. It really isn't. Thanks, everyone. I will see you again on Thursday. Have a good rest of your night. Stay safe, take care, and be well. See you, everyone.